This is the part two read aloud of America and I.
Then the busy season started in the shop. The mounds of buttons grew and grew. The long days stretched out longer. I had to begin with the buttons earlier and stay with them till later in the night. The old witch turned into a huge greedy maw, for wanting more and more buttons, for a glass of tea, for a slice of herring over black bread. She would buy us up to stay another and another hour, till there seemed no end to her demands. One day, the light of self-assertion broke into my cellar darkness. I don't want the tea. I don't want your herring, I said with terrible boldness. I only want to go home. I only want the evening to myself. You fresh mouth, you, cried the old witch. You learned already too much in America. I want no clock watchers in my shop. Out you go. I was driven out to cold and hunger. I could no longer pay for my mattress on the floor. I no longer could buy the bite in my mouth. I walked the streets. I knew what it is to be alone in a strange city, among strangers, but I laughed through my tears. So I learned too much already in America because I wanted the whole evening to myself? Well, America has yet to teach me still more. How to get not only the whole evening to myself, but a whole day a week like the American workers. That sweatshop was a bitter memory but a good school. It fitted me for a regular factory. I could walk in boldly and say I could work at something, even if it was only sewing on buttons. Gradually, I became a trained worker. I worked in a light, airy factory, only 8 hours a day. My boss was no longer a sweater and a blood squeezer. The first freshness of the morning was mine. And the whole evening was mine. All day Sunday was mine. Now I had better food to eat. I slept on a better bed. Now, I even looked dressed up like the American born. But inside of me I knew that I was not yet an American. I choked with longing when I met an American born, and I could say nothing. Something cried dumb in me. I couldn't help it. I don't know what it was I wanted. I only knew I wanted. I wanted. Like the hunger in the heart that never gets food, an English class for foreigners started in our factory. The teacher had such a good, friendly face. Her eyes looked so understanding, as if she could see right into my heart. So I went to her one day for an advice. I don't know what is with me the matter, I began. I have no rest in me. I never yet done what I want. What is it you want to do, child? She asked me. I want to do something with my head, my feelings. All day long, only with my hands I work. First you must learn English. She patted me as if I was not yet grown up. Put your mind on that, and then we'll see. So for a time I learned the language. I could almost begin to think with English words in my head. But in my heart the emptiness still hurt. I burned to give something, to do something, to be something. The dead work with my hands was killing me. My work left only hard stones on my heart. Again I went to our factory teacher and cried out to her. I know already how to read and write the English language, but I can't put it into words what I want. What is it in me so different that can't come out? She smiled at me down from her calmness as if I were a little bit out of my head. What do you want to do? I feel. I see. I hear. And I want to think it out. But I'm like them in me. I only know I'm different, different from everybody. She looked at me close and said nothing for a minute. You ought to join one of the social clubs of the Women's Association, she advised. What's the Women's Association? I implored, greedily. A group of American women who are trying to help the working girl find herself. They have a special department for immigrant girls like you. I joined the Women's Association. On my first evening there they announced a lecture, The Happy Worker and His Work, by the welfare director of the United Mills Corporation. Is there such a thing as a happy worker at his work? I wondered. Happiness is only by working at what you love. And what poor girl can ever find it to work at what she loves? My old dreams about my America rushed through my mind. Once I thought that in America everybody works for love. Nobody has to worry for a living. Maybe this welfare man came to show me the real America that till now I sought in vain. With a lot of polite words the head lady of the Women's Association introduced a higher-up that looked like the king of kings of business. Never before in my life did I ever see a man with such assuredness in his step, such power in his face, such friendly positiveness in his eyes when he smiled upon us. Efficiency is the new religion of business, he began. In big business houses, even in up-to-date factories, they no longer take the first comer and give him any job that happens to stand empty. Efficiency begins at the employment office. Experts are hired for the one purpose, to find out how best to fit the worker to his work. It's economy for the boss to make the worker happy. And then he talked a lot more on efficiency in educated language that was over my head. I didn't know exactly what it meant, efficiency, but if it was to make the worker happy at his work, then that's what I had been looking for since I came to America. I only felt from watching him that he was happy by his job. And as I looked on the clean, well-dressed, successful one, who wasn't ashamed to say he rose from an office boy, it made me feel that I, too, could lift myself up for a person. He finished his lecture, telling us about the vocational guidance center that the Women's Association started. The very next evening I was at the vocational guidance center. There I found a young, college-looking woman. Smartness and health shining from her eyes. She, too, looked as if she knew her way in America. I could tell at the first glance, here's a person that is happy by what she does. I feel you'll understand me, I said right away. She leaned over with pleasure in her face. I hope I can. I want to work by what's in me. Only, I don't know what's in me. I only feel I'm different. She gave me a quick, puzzled look from the corner of her eyes. What are you doing now? I'm the quickest shirtwaist hand on the floor. But my heart wastes away by such work. I think, and my thoughts can't come out. Why don't you think out your thoughts in shirtwaists? You could learn to be a designer. Earn more money. I don't want to look on waists. If my hands are sick from waists, how could my head learn to put beauty into them? But you must earn your living at what you know, and rise slowly from job to job. I looked at her office sign, vocational guidance. What's your vocational guidance? I asked. How to rise from job to job, how to earn more money. The smile went out from her eyes. But she tried to be kind yet. What do you want? She asked, with a sigh of last patience. I want America to want me. She fell back in her chair, thunderstruck with my boldness. But yet, in a low voice of educated self-control, she tried to reason with me. You have to show that you have something special for America before America has need of you. But I never had a chance to find out what's in me, because I always had to work for a living. Only, I feel it's efficiency for America to find out what's in me so different, so I could give it out by my work. Her eyes half closed as they bored through me. Her mouth opened to speak, but no words came from her lips. So I flamed up with all that was choking in me like a house on fire. America gives free bread and rent to criminals in prison. They got grand houses with sunshine, fresh air, doctors and teachers, even for the crazy ones. Why don't they have free boarding schools for immigrants, strong people, willing people? Here you see us burning up with something different, and America turns her head away from us. Her brows lifted and dropped down. She shrugged her shoulders away from me with a look of pity we give to cripples and hopeless lunatics. America is no utopia. First you must become efficient in earning a living before you can indulge in your poetic dreams. I went away from the vocational guidance office with all the air out of my lungs, all the light out of my eyes. My feet dragged after me like dead wood. Till now there had always lingered a rosy veil of hope over my emptiness, a hope that a miracle would happen. I would open up my eyes someday and suddenly find the America of my dreams. As a young girl hungry for love sees always before her eyes the picture of lovers' arms around her, so I saw always in my heart the vision of utopian America. But now I felt that the America of my dreams never was and never could be. Reality had hit me on the head as with a club. I felt that the America that I sought was nothing but a shadow, an echo, a chimera, of lunatics and crazy immigrants. Stripped of all illusion, I looked about me. The long desert of wasting days of drudgery stared me in the face. The drudgery that I had lived through, and the endless drudgery still ahead of me rose over me like a withering wilderness of sand. In vain were all my cryings, in vain were all frantic efforts of my spirit to find the living waters of understanding for my perishing lips. Sand was everywhere. With every seeking, every reaching out I only lost myself deeper and deeper in a vast sea of sand.